Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And today I want to come back to you with some more D&D thoughts and advice. Something that's been on my mind a lot recently as I've been getting back into playing more D&D is how amazing it is to step, as it were, out of your own skin, out of your own life, and get into the life and shoes of some fictional character, wholly and completely. And for a few hours, you just become that character. It's a ton of fun. And now then, when you start off playing D&D, it's very, very easy to basically just kind of play yourself, or to play a variation of yourself that you really want to be. And it's kind of the same with writing as well. Oftentimes, when you first start out writing, a lot of the characters that you write are just an immediate reflection of yourself. They're either basically yourself just in a fantasy or horror or whatever setting, or they are a version of yourself that you would like to be, usually some sort of Mary Sue, Gary Stu character. Hey, we've all been there. But when it comes to D&D, D&D can really help us get out of that rut and really begin to experience all different kinds of characters. And this is key to writing vibrant, fantastic, varied casts of characters. So let me explain. As I just said, when you first start out playing Dungeons & Dragons, it's very, very easy to basically play a variation of yourself, just as it is very easy to write a variation of yourself with all of your characters. And here's the thing, I would say, especially if you're someone who is trying to figure out how to write different characters, play Dungeons & Dragons and get it out of your system right now what it's like to basically play as yourself. You can play as yourself in a one-shot or in a campaign, and then step out of your shoes and step into someone else's life. When I first started playing, the very first character I played in a one-shot, which we never really finished, was this giant Minotaur fighter, and I was just grunt, because I was just having fun. I really had no idea what I was doing. But then for the next two games of D&D, I did basically play myself. And it was fun, but also kind of boring, because I began to realize that everyone else was doing something really fun with their characters. So I started trying to find new ways, new characters, new things to do. And so the next time I had a chance to play a different character other than myself, I just played this ridiculous satyr who was just horny as all get out, loved to get into trouble, did stupid things, was ridiculously, overly zealously religious. It was hilarious to just play this bonkers character who in many ways was just very contradictory, just a whole lot of fun. And it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about what it is like to get into the mindset of another character, because so many of this satyr's aspects, so many of these characters' personal traits are not inherently my own. And so I had to put myself into that thought process, come up with how would this character talk, how would this character react, and it was a ton of fun. And it helped me then to explore, when I started writing, just my more humorous characters. And then I later on started playing more serious characters to get into that role of what it would be like to be as a serious character. So like right now, for instance, in one campaign that I'm doing, I am playing a Dragonborn ranger whose entire village has been wiped out. I'm trying to find more of my kind, to find some sort of peace in this world, but there are no other Dragonborn that I've yet to find, and so I'm with this ridiculous troupe of hilarious characters, and here I am as kind of the stoic one, because, oh, my life has been kind of sucky, but it's interesting having a serious character be with a bunch of silly characters, and letting my walls slowly come down as that character. It doesn't change my background or who I am, but it allows me to now explore more facets of a serious character. And it's a lot of fun seeing how a serious character reacts in both realistic and in relatable ways to a more silly troupe. And then in another campaign that I'm playing some ridiculous old guy who writes fan fictions of his life because his own life hasn't been fun enough and he wants to live for something. So it's just kind of silly what I get to do with some of these characters. And honestly, this is my advice to you as writers. Play Dungeons and Dragons and play as character types that you want to write. You want to write some character who is madly in love? Well, put yourself into that situation and play it out. One of the great things about Dungeons and Dragons is that you get immediate feedback and immediate reactions from the others at the table about, well, how your character is doing, how would they react? And if you're paying attention, you can see what reactions you want and which reactions you don't want, and how both can actually be very beneficial to how your character develops. So do that with a love-struck character. Do that with a more angsty character. Or, I mean, yes, it is really taboo to play an angsty character in D&D, and you can really quickly find out why that is the case, and learn from that and use that then in your own writing. Why an angsty character might or might not work. You can also do that, like I said, for serious characters, more brooding characters, characters with traumatic backgrounds, characters who just want to go out on an adventure, naive characters, happy-go-lucky characters, horribly pessimistic characters, characters with some deep depression. All of these things are things that you can experience by playing Dungeons and Dragons and once again getting feedback in the moment from the other people at the table. This is just one of the really cool things about how Dungeons and Dragons can help you as a writer improve your craft. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But hey, this is advice that I guarantee you can take to the bank and it will seriously help you out in your own writing. Take the character archetypes or even the characters that you want to better understand as you write and play as them in a D&D setting, so that way you can see how their personalities will work with other personalities, and to really discover what it's like to be that character. Trust me, as you do something like that, it will translate into amazing prose and conversations on the page. By better understanding your characters, the better you are able to write them, because you know how they'll react. You will be able to see what works for them, what doesn't. And this is where a lot of other more experienced writers say, yeah, it kind of feels like the story is writing itself. And that's because they are kind of giving the story over to their characters and seeing what happens, how their characters react. They're discovering them as they put them into this grandiose story that they've concocted. And that is when writing gets a ton of fun. Now, I can't say per se that any of my stories have ever been totally hijacked by any of my characters, but by getting to know my characters better, I have come to moments of profound realization where I'm like, wow, I need to do better by this character. I need to give him or her more screen time to be more fully developed. Or, wow, this character has a really great personality or a really great sense of humor that I didn't fully appreciate that was right there under the surface. And I was able to pull that out by getting deeper into that character's head. And once again, Dungeons & Dragons is a great way of getting deeper into that character's head, because you get to, for hours, play as that character in various situations. So that is my advice. Take it or leave it, but I would suggest that you definitely take it because it is really good. And if you are looking for more writing advice, we've got plenty of other videos for you to check out. We would also love for you to drop on by our podcast, Camille's Harem, found on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, the works. We also have writing exercises over at our Pinterest page, and we would love for you to join us at our communities over at our subreddit and at our Discord. There are a lot of really great conversations going on there. It's great to see people support each other. It's just fantastic because writing is an adventure that is far more fun with friends, and that is what we want to grow here as a YouTube community. We want to have a community of writers that support each other and help one another improve as we continue to write our different stories. Because you need your stories, the world needs your stories, and your stories need you. And I just gotta say, thank you for joining us on this adventure that we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.